Greetings, fellow classic TV friends. It's me, Pat McCormack, and welcome to Golden Rage of TV Live. Wow, it's been a while since I've actually said that. I don't think I've done a live stream actually since October. So yeah, things have been kind of busy, having fun, working on new videos and interviews. Yeah, that's been my new thing, something I didn't expect to actually have bloom on me, and that is the Retro TV Trivia Podcast. Let me just take a look and see who's here real quick so you guys don't think I'm neglecting you. If I can find my mouse cursor. Mr. Mouse Cursor? Okay. Who's here? Mr. Led, of course. Tom McCleskey. Yep. Shannon Burns. Let's see, Mr. Dave Sundstrom, never heard of him. Lance Chafin is here. Hi, Lance. And, you know, I'm going to pronounce this. Is it Gia Johnson or Gia Johnson? Well, either way, I'm sure I got your last name right. So thanks for coming. John Collins, I see out there, and you're always welcome. Kimberly Wiederhold is here. Emily Miller. Emily Miller. Oh, yes. You knew I was going to give you a hard time, Emily. You just knew it. Danny Staten. Hey, buddy. I call Danny Double D. Daily Dan. He's my buddy. Double D. Anyway, Mr. Led, I appreciate you being here. Again, folks, this is going to be a little different for me. It's not going to be video-based. I'm actually going to just be your talking head throughout this. We're going to do something fun, I think, or interesting. If anything, I'm going to give you some holiday gift ideas based on my personal experience with autobiographies. And you know what they're about, or which kind of people these autobiographies would be, right? You know, I'm sure you do. Yes. So, deep sea fishermen. Okay. In truth, it's classic TV stars. But first thing I want to do is say thank you. I want to thank all of you guys for your support this last year. These last couple of years have been tough for all of us, and I've really tried to be more productive in 2022, and I think I actually may have pulled it off. Or at least it seems like it towards the end. That only tells me that 2023 is going to be even better. As a matter of fact, I know it's going to be better. Part of it is because I've suddenly become, I don't know if I'm going to use the word in demand for celebrity interviews, but hopefully that will be the case soon. And I'm sure getting them. So for whatever that's worth. For whatever that's worth. Yeah, it's kind of the way I interview people too. Fortunately, they make as many mistakes as I do. Thank God for editing. Anyway, again, thank you guys, and thanks for being there for me. And of course, you know, my mainstay inspiration, Mr. Dave Sundstrom, Barry King, BK on the Air, Thrash, Pondo, Pons, and a whole myriad of other creators have just been wonderful this past year, the years before, and we're just going to keep doing it. Yeah, the Retro Palooza thing is pretty fun, so I would expect another one of those in the not too distant future. But as I was saying, I started this new venture, the Retro TV Trivia Podcast. When I hear my phone ding like that, that makes me go either there's something wrong, or hey, can everybody hear me? You guys can hear me, right? Where is my audio? It's good. Don't ding me. It's probably my son going, Dad, where's the food? Or my wife going, honey, you didn't leave me a parking place. Or my proctologist? No. Okay. So anyway, folks, that's where the joking is going to go tonight. This podcast thing has been just incredible. It started with Loretta Swit, and from there it has snowballed. I don't know, I know why. I have made some incredible connections, and they're paying off. And I, boy, the people that I've had on have all just been incredible. Both the Livingston brothers were awesome. George Chakiris. I mean, it's like, okay, I'm talking to an Academy Award winner. That's like, what? When did I get that ability? Well, fact is, I'm a work in progress on my interviewing abilities, but I think I'm getting better because I keep getting more. Um, Specifically, tomorrow, we have Eileen Graff. I know there's probably some Mr. Belvedere fans out there, and of course, she played Marcia. And oh, what a sweet lady! It was wonderful, and we were able to talk shop because she's very much into music and singing specifically. And I studied with an amazing vocal coach, world renowned. And so we were able to talk shop a bit, even though I am not near the singer that she is. And so, anyway, that's coming up tomorrow. The next one, which will be next week, next Thursday, will be Dee Wallace. Now, you know what I wanted to do really quick here? I wanted to just show you a picture of Eileen Graff. Is she not gorgeous? I mean, you could tell she was gorgeous. I only have the audio when I'm talking to her. We're doing phone interviews, and I'm thinking, she just sounds like a beautiful woman. And she is, inside and out. Now, a week from tomorrow, maybe you recognize her? I don't know. Probably more the guy on the left. But of course, you know, it's Dee Wallace. And she spent a good amount of time with me. And I got to tell you, that was phenomenal. I have been reading her book, which I have right here. It's called, oh, I got to make sure I get my light right so you guys can see this. Well, in that area, oh, there it is. Oh, wow, it just like miraculously showed up. This is called Born. And this is Dee Wallace's new book. It's not an autobiography. As a matter of fact, I think the best way I could describe it would be how to live. And I was like, okay, I'm reading autobiographies, and suddenly I've got Dee Wallace's book here, and it's like I've just switched from autobiographies to rocket science. It kind of felt that way, because it was not the fictional, not the feeling of listening to a story. It was more her incredible ability to offer philosophy in a scientific way, and at the same time, a spiritual way that makes it so that I summed it up to her like this, and she liked it. And that was, it's not what comes around goes around, which is, the usual saying. It's actually what goes around comes around. Pardon me. And she was like, yeah, Pat, the universe is a mirror. If you're going to put out positive stuff, it wants to work with you that way. Go down the road of negative, have that in your head, have that in what you say. It'll give you that too. And I was like, okay. But of course, it gets much deeper than that. I highly recommend this to folks because it's just, I started applying some of the principles. And I'm not kidding. Some things happened. Some things have happened in a very positive way that weren't happening until I just kind of listened to her advice and started living the way she, and it's pretty easy. It's detailed. And that's why, again, I like it because of that. Felt to me like it filled in some blanks. So check out Dee Wallace's Born. It's a great one. What else am I currently reading? This one. Consider Your Ass Kissed. Now, just don't you love that title? I mean, clearly, Ruta Lee, she's a hoot. I don't know how else to put it. I spent almost an hour on the phone with her today, and what a great interview she gave. That's coming out a week from tomorrow. And oh my God, what a powerhouse. I'm reading this book, which is, by the way, full of pictures, great pictures. Oh my God, this woman has lived. And she's got pictures of it all and stories that would just blow your mind. I find myself laughing out loud listening to her. It's either I'm laughing out or I'm totally shocked in amazement. So there's one for you too. I know they weren't on the list that I'd posted, and I'm only halfway through it. So it's not like the jury's still out on it. It's a great book, and you can't miss with Consider Your Ass Kissed. And I love that title. So there's that. And so what I want to do is just dive in to the, one more podcast I got to mention. And that is one coming up 2 weeks from tomorrow with this guy, Rich Correll. If you don't know Rich Correll, he played, oh my gosh, why does his name escape me on Leave It to Beaver? Rickover on Leave It to Beaver, and Jerry Mather's best friend. Well, he's Jerry Mather's best friend in real life too. And I did a interview with Jerry that you guys probably saw a couple weeks back and talked about Rich in that. But I reached out to Rich and we hit it off. Probably because we're both horror enthusiasts, and he happens to own the world's largest horror and sci-fi prop collection in the entire world. That just scratches the surface of Rich Correll, son of Charles Correll, who was, I'm not sure, he was one half of Amos and Andy, which were as big as it gets. But the stories he tells in this podcast will blow your mind. Guaranteed. I took a lot of time on the video version for this because he dropped so many names. I was like, I'm going to get every one of these people into this video and impress Rich because, he's done so much. I'm sure he'll be impressed. People are like, gosh, I hope he's impressed by this or not. Either way, I wanted to do the effort for him because he's such a sweet guy. I mean, again, all these people are so nice. So, moving right along, I have to take care of my two Kathys first. Kathy Coleman, Run, Holly, Run. I read this book, I'm going to say, 3 years ago. And I did this has happened before, I did a video for it on the channel in my happenings, just talking about how great it was, how much I loved it. And it is. And she saw that through Wesley Ure, who saw it and sent it to her. And it was just really neat how we all kind of connected. And the three of us have been really good friends ever since. That book, you won't put it down. What a life Kathy has lived. And I mean, it's amazing she survived. And she wasn't that, messed up drug addict actress. It was just terrible luck. I mean, after Land of the Lost, she was typecast and things just didn't go. And, again, it's just astonishing what happens to people when they marry certain people that could be the wrong people. And suddenly you have a full-on drama. And it gets even more intense than that. So Run, Holly, Run really is a good title because, man, you want her to run by the time you're done with this. So, okay, what was the other? Oh, my other Kathy, My Energizer Bunny. And I read this, I'm going to say probably, I bought it the day I met her, which was in 2016. And, I was already reading a lot of autobiographies, but I was really impressed with that because she literally brought you into her life, coming into show business, which she'd had a vast career prior to playing Sissy, and just all the things that the serendipity of the things that come together to let someone get a gig. And she did. And the fact is that she did not go down the wrong path like so many of her peers did. And that's inspiring. So you're reading it and you're getting really inspired by what Kathy has done. And then if you want to stay inspired, just go to kathygarver.com and you will see she does not stop. I call her the Energizer Bunny for a reason. That's the reason. And so I just draw off her energy. It's amazing. Okay. So I'm not going in any particular order here, by the way. The fact is, every book that I talk about, they're all great. I love them all, and I wouldn't even be bringing them up if I didn't. So kind of go with the fact that if I put it up here, it's worth your dollar or dollars, or, even better, using them as gifts. Great gift ideas, especially if you have people that are fans of certain shows or these people. Speaking of a few fans, I think Barbara had a few. Yes, we saw that firsthand at the Hollywood show a couple months back. My wife and I went down, and there was a lot of celebrities there. Barbara's line was endless. I mean, the large proportion of the people that were there to see her, and we got a picture with her, and just were able to kind of communicate in that way. But so popular. I've got to I'll see if I can check into some of these chapters. Let me see. Oh, I don't wear glasses. Really? Okay, where is it? The heck with it. Oh, what happened to Barbara? Oh, here it is. I got hit on every man in Hollywood. She got hit on by every man in Hollywood. Not just stars, big stars, but political figures. Her little story about JFK, quite interesting. It just seemed that, obviously a sweet girl from my area, Bay Area gal, that even though she was obviously a powerhouse and a force unto herself, it was almost as though she went in pre-victim. Like, you've heard the stories about Desi Arnaz chasing her around the Lucy set, and you think, wow, that must have been one really interesting experience. There are many such experiences that she reveals in this book, and some from folks you wouldn't believe. It'd be like, wow. But then again, it's like, okay, the question is, who hit on Barbara Eden? It's who didn't. Incredible. But what are you going to do? She's that attractive. Absolutely. Okay, so we'll shift gears here a little bit. Oh, I have one other thing. Folks, from my past live streams, I don't really dive into the comments and fire them up and put them out. I like that you guys, talk to each other, and it's a social hangout. And don't think I'm not paying attention to you. I know you guys are here. I just really want to get into the nitty gritty here, and this is really what I'm better at. But what I did want to say is, with any of these books that I'm mentioning, if you have questions specifically for me, and yes, folks, I did read them, put them in the comments on the replay video. In other words, when it becomes just a regular YouTube video, go into the comments and ask me point blank there what I thought of this, or what was my take on that, or just anything. And I will happily correspond with every one of you, and we'll get into detail then. So, okay, what's next? I don't use glasses. Honestly. Some things, between my ears and my glasses, my ears need glasses. Anyway, they have hearing aids. It's okay. Now I can hear myself think, which is really scary. This is Marion Ross's book, My Days, Happy and Otherwise. And it is so well written. She's an amazing woman. And I know basically you read this, what she'd gone through. When she says my day's happy and otherwise, it's the otherwise that's really shocking. The stuff that she had to put up with, in an era where women never, didn't always get the best shot. Certainly were treated, you know, less than. It was that era, and it sucked. But um, of course, she landed Happy Days, right? And the stories around her Happy Days experiences are just astonishing. And one of the things that I think I like the best about this book is towards the end, and I'm not spoiling anything when I tell you, each one of the castmates from the show, excuse me, wrote a page dedicated to Marion. And they all went off on just how amazing she is and was and always will be. And yes, it's a great book. Highly, highly recommend it. It was neat because my second podcast was with Jim Meskimen. I don't know if any of you guys saw that, but that's her son. Extremely talented man. Boy, that guy could impersonate an egg. Okay, where are we going? And so, yeah, there it is. That's the one you want to look for on Amazon. And anybody that was a Happy Days fan will love it. Forward by Ron Howard. How much better could you do? So here's another one. This guy who just turned 97. Was it 2 days ago or was it yesterday? Well, it was recent. And his whole thing, just like with George Chakiris was telling me, it's you got to keep moving. You got to dance. You've got to stay in some sort of physical shape throughout your life. Longevity requires it. It relies on it. And Dick has always been about, I dance every day. I don't know if he's still dancing every day, but I wouldn't doubt it. Interviews that I've heard on him, he's as youthful as could be. 97. Crazy. I am about 80% done with this one. And I have loved at least 65% of it. So that's a winner, is what I'm saying. In some ways, it's a little more lackluster than some of these extreme lives of some of these celebrities, which I like. That's just me. If you really want to hear some interesting stories about his co-stars and the producers and Carl Reiner, I mean, just some of these incredible stories, inside stories that he has, and of course, for the fact that he really did not have a perfect life. He had some serious struggles, which he got through. So it's a happy ending. Even though I haven't gotten there, I know it's a happy ending. So there's one for you guys to consider. Moving right along. Do I need my glasses? What glasses? I don't. I wear contacts. No, I don't. Here we go. This one. Shirley Jones. A memoir. New York Times bestseller. And, in this book, I don't know what this means because I read the whole book. This is gnarly. To use a California term, dude, this is totally gnarly. And I mean that by how candid she is. And of course, it starts in her young childhood when she discovered she had the most incredible natural talent. It was as though she didn't hardly have to work at anything to suddenly start landing these huge gigs. But the underlying aspect of that always kind of comes into play is, I'm going to say it, her, how do I say it? Sexual enthusiasm. How's that? Yes. And that's sprinkled in throughout the chapters where you get the feeling that, Shirley really knew how to enjoy herself. And unfortunately, so did Jack Cassidy. And boy, oh boy, the stories are sordid and hence really fun to read about because they were living the jet set life for sure, living, on the edge, not all the way over the edge. Of course, Jack was, but not Shirley. She had she had the reins pulled in pretty good. But, then again, you're reading it going, oh my God, Shirley, you must be joking. Yeah, you know how the rest of that goes. But that's kind of why I liked it, admittedly. It's a guilty pleasure. Okay, moving along. You know what I'm going to do? Is I am going to end. I'm gonna have my last book, which isn't too far away here, be the one that I love the most. Yeah, I did pick a favor. And I picked a favorite. See, this is what happens. You get kind of like lazy with your words. I'm just really lazy, man. Really lazy with my words. Not right now, though, because yeah, I've been a fan. I've been a fan for many, many moons. As a matter of fact, I was living in Hollywood at the time that she was on the local affiliate when she made her debut as Elvira. And it was hard to not watch her. As a matter of fact, often we'd go running, scrambling for the television to make sure we didn't miss a single second of her. Don't ask me why. But, the comedic aspect, that was it. I was there for the comedy and the horror. Yeah, that was it. No two other things would get me interested. Well, maybe. Anyway, Cassandra Peterson, what a life. Again, another one of these where you're reading it and it's like, boy, yes, you should have written a book, because holy smokes. It's amazing she survived, in that she developed at such a young age and just went right out and used it. Not in a way of making money the wrong way, but kind of right on the edge. I mean, I think she was in junior high school still, and she was a go-go dancer at a local nightclub. So she definitely had her assets. She definitely had her sets. She definitely was blessed and knew how to use it, and amazingly got into Vegas. And from there, it just snowballed, because that's where everybody was. She's just going to start meeting some incredible people. The one thing so anyway, yes, I loved this, as will you. And I don't know why this thing's in here either. It's like, I know where I'm at. The one takeaway that I did get from the book is there's two celebrities that I just don't think I like anymore. And I'm going to spill the beans. It was Andy Williams and Tom Jones. When you read the book, you'll see why. A lot of times people put on these personas of wholesomeness, and I mean, Tom Jones was never that. I think you got what you got. You saw what you saw with Tom. But Andy, that was a bit of a surprise to see that he could actually, I don't know, be that, for lack of a better term, of a jerk, that much of a jerk. And she tells it all. She explains it all firsthand, and talks about dating Robert De Niro. I mean, it's just amazing how much she'd actually done. And of course, found out that she had this talent she wasn't even aware of, and that was humor. And again, happy ending, right? Obviously. Yeah, I loved Elvira very much. Then, so you guys are taking notes here, right? Just what to ask me, because I know them. I know all this stuff. I know these books really well. And so this one, I got to thank our buddy Dave Sundstrom, because he just happened to mention to me that he was reading it, and it intrigued me. And I thought, now I'll bet you. And I was a little bit out of the habit of autobiographies. It's really kind of a strange thing. You can get really into them and then kind of fall out of them, and I don't know, read the newspaper and then come back into them. And now my wife and I are voracious. We are just downing these things. She just finished Matthew Perry's, by the way, and said it was astonishing. Don't try to use big words, Pat. She said it was amazing. And I'm looking forward to borrowing that from her, because I know she's done with it. And so let's see. Oh, I wanted to talk more about The Boys. Again, Dave turned me on to this book. And oh man, it's so good. It's so good to hear the stories alone, but to also hear about these two boys' parents. I can't. I was saying to someone, it's almost more. Who was I saying this to? I think it was Barry Livingston. I was saying that it's less of an autobiography and more like how to parent, a parenting book, how to be a good parent, and you see it throughout. And what a just magical life. It's funny when I was talking to Ruta Lee today, she was saying, when I did Andy Griffith, because I told her that's where I fell in love with her. And she said, I got to be close friends with everybody on that show except for that little twerp, Ronnie Howard. I just didn't pay him the time of day. Now look at him. And he won't hire me, of course. I thought that was really funny. Oh, man, she is so great. I can't wait for you guys to hear that. It's really good. Okay, so moving on to my favorite. Drum roll, please. Yes, this one is my favorite. This year, I'm kind of going by, okay, these are my greats of 2022. I'll have greats of 2023 as well. But it's this. From Harlem Hoodlum to Hollywood Heavyweight by Hank Garrett and Deanna Marie Smith. Deanna Marie Smith. I can't say enough about Hank's wife, and that is Deanna Marie Smith, the Red Warrior, she calls herself. I thought I was reading an autobiography by someone that basically wrote autobiographies for a living because it's so masterfully written. You are literally transported to Hank's world. As a child, he was in the concrete jungle of New York. And I mean, the skids. Harlem. He lived in Harlem. And it was, as you can imagine, for a white kid especially, it was not a relaxing experience, hardly ever. And his parents, they just came over and it didn't have any they were afraid constantly of being deported. The whole thing was just like work. And they worked so much that he basically grew up parentless because they had to, and they didn't make a lot of money. And that was the Depression. And oh my God, you see, it's a great setup for a lot of great stories. And Hank is full of them in the early years. Then he hits adolescence and the stories intensify because he's decided, a life of crime and hoodlum is the way to go. That's what's done in these parts. At another juncture, he decided instead, though, to be a cop. And so he joined the New York PD. And ironically, he was like, the worst thing that could have happened, I'm not giving anything up here. But the worst thing that could have happened was I got assigned to my old neighborhood. So all my friends, who actually had to be the guys that I was probably going to have to bust, thought he was just a traitor. And he just got so poorly treated. Throughout this time, he's developing his skills as a martial artist, as a bodybuilder, and taking those to expert levels and, winning titles in martial arts. That's, again, just a little side thing. But where does that lead him? Well, it leads him into being a great stuntman, not only a great actor, but he did have the world's greatest fight scene ever captured in motion pictures in 3 Days of the Condor with Robert Redford. To this, by today's standards, it's not quite as intense as like something you might see Jason Bourne do, but you also got to wonder how much of that is CGI, and none of this was. I mean, these guys, it was so real. Robert broke his nose. He broke Robert's nose accidentally. So the stories, though, go so much deeper. I mean, the first white comedian. Oh, yeah, he became a comedian to play the Apollo. And he was welcomed like a hometown hero of all things. And it's true. His experiences in Las Vegas are intense. And, he'd played there opening for Tony Bennett for years. And that was, I guess, just a wonderful thing. And then, of course, he's suddenly on Car 54, Where Are You? And from there, the TV roles kept coming. And, it was great. He was in a movie called Paris, or on a show called Paris with James Earl Jones. And I was just talking to Rich Carell, the horror guy that I was telling you about I guess Rich puts together a Halloween thing where thousands of kids come because he has all those props. And he said, Mr. Sulu came over. He's my next door neighbor. And I think you really met the real guy. But I tell him the story about Hank and working with James Earl Jones and how he talked him into coming over to his place on Halloween dressed as who else? Yeah, Darth Vader. Can you imagine? That had to just be such a treat. But what I will say also about Hank Garrett and Deanna Marie Smith is that they are the most down-to-earth, kind people I've come across. Quite frankly, all the folks that I have interviewed they all take the cake for just being beautiful, humble, not stuck up celebrities. And I don't know what it was about my podcast interview with Hank, but something happened. We just clicked. We hit it off. And I felt it. I wasn't sure if he did, but it was just like, we're joking with each other and we've got kind of the same sense of humor. And, of course, there's an age difference. But when we were done, he sent me the nicest email claiming it was possibly one of his most favorite interviews he ever did. And that I made him feel completely comfortable and we spoke the same language. Now, it's funny because he's pure New York East Coast and I am pure beach bum West Coast. And yet we connected. And now we've built an honest to goodness friendship. So you're asking, well, is that why it's your favorite book? No, it is not. It is because it's my favorite book. And if you read it, you'll see why. But what's happened, what I've gotten from it is a friendship with Hank Garrett. And so we call each other every now and then and keep in touch. And he's an amazing man. Really, 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 really is. And when you read this, you'll hear why. The thing about this book, by the way, also, this is Frank. This is Hank. All the proceeds go to wounded warriors. He takes nothing for profit. And that's huge because I don't think any of these other books have that. Well, Ruta Lee, on the other hand, her book, if I'm not mistaken, donates to her cause, the Thalians. But you guys will hear all about that in the upcoming podcast. She just does tremendous charity works. And yeah, so for this year, I'm going to say those are my favorite. Pardon me, I don't have that bubbly stuff, okay? And yeah, you can't go wrong with these. So guess where I'm going? I'm going into the chat. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know when these came, but it looks like, oh, there you go. All right, let's see who's talking. Oh man, nobody's talking about me. Well, I see you all there and I see you talking to each other and like, anybody paid attention to Pat yet? And everybody say, no, why is he talking? Yes. Okay, here's the best one yet. Hi, Tracy. Okay, who else do we have? Well, this one, this girl, Karen Lee Maloney. What you guys may not know is that Karen is, I call her Karen, one of my oldest friends. We were in grade school together. I didn't realize it until, she had started following me for quite a while. And it was just like, and then she said, you remember Karen Freeman? That's me. And of course I did. I had such a big crush on her. Yes, it's true, Karen, and you know it. But anyway, We were probably, I think, maybe fourth, fifth grade together. And it's just so great that we've reconnected this way. It's just, yeah, it's special. Really, really special. I see Dave, Mr. Sundstrom, is hanging around and trying to disrupt things, and I appreciate that. You know, I do, Dave. By the way, I hope your voice is doing better than mine is tonight. That last one was kind of sketchy. Thank God for BK. Anyway, yeah, so I've connected with most of the folks that are here. I sure appreciate you guys joining in. I'm going to try to do these a little bit more. I think, a seasonal thing for me is probably best if I continue to get these great podcast interviews. And of course, I'm also trying to create the single video content as well for you all, and that's always fun. But boy, am I having fun talking to these stars. It's surreal. And again, what I'm coming to find out is they're all the most down-to-earth, loving people you could ever want to know. And so, hey, isn't that wonderful? And most of them have really, really worthy causes that they're out supporting. Everybody's promoting something or selling something. Autobiographies are a big one. As a matter of fact, I got George Chikiris's My West Side Story sitting right here. I haven't opened it yet. Looking forward to reading through that because that had to be intense. Matter of fact, I know it was. And we know how he turned out. A great guy, 90 years old and full of energy. It's like, how do they do this? Dance. It's a dance. Well, you are so welcome, Karen. And I meant it. All right. So let's see. What do we got? Well, folks, I just want to say it's been wonderful this year having your support. You've seen the books that I recommend, and I swear you're not going to go wrong with any of them. But again, you know which my favorite is. And, again, if you want to get into it's like, well, you want to get into the really saucy stuff, go for Shirley Jones and Cassandra Peterson, the Elvira. That's saucy. You want to go with just interesting? Go with the boys and Dick Van Dyke. And they are extremely interesting. Ruta Lee right now, I'm halfway through, and it is everything. So I'm pretty sure I know which my next, I'm pretty sure what my favorite book will be next year, even though I'm sure I'm going to be done with this year. Or maybe I'll just wait to finish it on the 1st, and then that'll make it in next year. Yeah, I like that. So anyway, hey, I hope everyone here has a wonderful holiday, whichever holiday you celebrate, and more importantly, a wonderful new year. And if you can get a chance to pick up Dee Wallace's book, Born, it might help you forge a new year that you really want for a change. I'm trying it. I've been employing some of the techniques. It's not magic. It's science, really. And darned if I haven't actually seen results already. I mean, I told her, what, I've only had your book a week, and but I put it to work right away. And she went, yep, right away. And just wait if you keep it up. And I'm like, okay, I like it. I like looking forward to things. And it looks like 2023 is going to have a lot of things for me to look forward to if it keeps rolling like it is. And so with that, I'm going to go now, but not without telling you all I love you and thank you for your support. And again, any questions, anything that you want to talk about with these books specifically, get into the comments and I will get in there with you and we will chat it out. Okay? Okay. All right, gang. Have a good evening. Have a great Christmas. Have a great New Year. Bye.